Hold on. Let me have a sip of my tea first before I press the go button. Today's tea is flor de jamaica y canela y aceite de coco y azúcar. Tea. Okay. Today's tea. Oh, I should have said that part in Spanish too. El té de día. The tea of El té del día. The tea of the day. Okay. The tea of the day is hibiscus, cinnamon, coconut oil, infused coconut oil, and sugar. Azúcar morena, brown sugar. So, anyway, let me take a sip of my tea before we get started. Ooh, that's hot. That's hot. So I don't know if this is a thing, hibiscus and cinnamon, but it's definitely my thing. It very much gives, because like we're about to transition into fall-ish, kind of, which is always spring here. So that's kind of interesting. But the stores are still operating very much on like a northern hemisphere US centric type of situation. So things are very much trending into fall type activities and behaviors and all of that. Autumn. So the addition of the cinnamon to the hibiscus is very much giving me fall vibes. It's been my jam for the last few. I actually started drinking it while I was on my cycle because the cinnamon helps with pain relief. And it was a pleasurable experience. It felt warm inside of me. I liked it a lot. Do I say pause on that? I don't know how the pause rules work for women. I don't. Are we supposed to say pause? I don't know how it goes. Okay, anyway, here we go. Hey y'all, I'm Kimberlyn, and this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here, you're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone. Man, that really be a vibe. When I tell y'all I love my intro, like I am so freaking proud of myself in that intro. It really brings me joy every single time because it is so dope. Like it is just it's dope. I really like it. Hey y'all, come on in, find a spot, take a seat, get comfortable, all right? I am excited to have you here for episode 18 of the Frolicking Truth podcast for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal, where joy meets justice and nervous systems get free. It is okay if you don't identify with any of those descriptors. It just means that when you come into the space, that you come ready to listen, ready to learn, and ready to support. Also, I need to enter a doggone how many times is I'm gonna fool with this Bluetooth earpiece counter here because I hate these. But I did get some more. I did get some more, and they should be here within a couple weeks. So y'all finna see some upgrades. Y'all finna see some upgrades around here. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm excited about that. So, since I'm making announcements and things, there is a lot of stuff, a lot of projects that I have been wanting to do. And I finally have some things in place to be able to start working on those projects. So, some of those projects look like buying a vlog camera. Y'all, when I tell you this vlog struggle has been so real because I want to be able to show you like what my life looks like, but the only camera that I have is this camera, which is my webcam, and then my phone. And I'm so sick and tired of dealing with storage issues on this phone. And like, I don't yet have a system of like turnover to be able to quickly flip content to get it out. So then it either just dies in the gallery and gets uploaded to the cloud somewhere for another next year. That's what happens. Is I'll be like, I'll talk about this next year because we missed the deadline here. Not that there's a deadline, but it be a lot is my point. So what I have been wanting to do is to have an actual vlog camera, and I was able to get a vlog camera. So it is on the way, and I'm so excited about that because I'll be able to do so much more with sharing like my tea, for instance. And every so often, like, I'll set up my camera and I will on my phone and like record the different like tea things that I do. But I really just want to like be able to like be like, this is a day in my life and this is what this looks like and sounds like. And thus far I have vlogged, but again, storage. But then also I don't be doing it in the right orientation because I don't really have a tripod like that I really like that gets it, and then it be where's the camera, and it just be a lot. It be a lot. So when I'm on my phone, I'm just like, listen, y'all gonna get this phone view even if you watching on YouTube, but I want to be able to show up for you, YouTube. I want to be able to give you a full screen experience. You feel me? So that is on the way. That is on the way. And I am so happy about this because this has been years in the making. You know, I left the US in 2021. So it has been 4 years that that's wow. That's what that is. That is wild. I have been gone for almost 4 years. Jesus. Jesus. But anyway, yeah. So I'm excited. I want to, make more content and really have a system for getting that to you all so that you all can see like what I'm doing and learn and we can talk and, all of the things. So that is a huge thing that is coming, and it's only going to enhance the content. And I will give credit for that to my brand bestie because she is really helping me to break things down into bite-sized pieces. And so I need to like have that process because I need to think about infrastructure. I need to think about longevity. I need to think about like down the line. There's so much that I'm considering with the things that I'm doing because I have so many projects that I am working on that I be busting at the seams. So right now, me and my brand bestie are kind of holding a lot of these things, and she's just really helping me to piece out the process and to make it feel manageable. And it is so incredibly helpful because I get stuck like in the yarn of things, and to have someone who is really just unraveling things with intention is just so freaking helpful. Like, I just don't even know how to explain it. So there's so much that's going to be happening. And so a part of that is I, Kimberlyn Jackson, am kind of backing out of minding my black ass business universe and going back to Kimberlyn Jackson, Kimberlyn J in those spaces. And that's also been really interesting to kind of process what that looks like and sounds like as I kind of be like, all right, y'all, because there are some amazing things that are going to get birthed in this Minding My Black Ass Business universe. And I am just so excited about what it's going to look like and the doors that it's going to open for people and the opportunity that people like yourselves who come and hang out with me, um, you'll be able to find even more people who are walking the walk and talking the talk and moving with intention and showing up as experts in their areas. And it's just making me so excited. So, my brand bestie is helping me with all that. And for it to not feel overwhelming, because it is a lot. It is a lot. But I know that it is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And that feels amazing. And it feels amazing to have the brain capacity to be able to do that again. There was definitely a time where I wasn't even hardly able to form words. So to be in a renewed space where I am really honoring what my brain needs and learning about how I function, it enhances my confidence every single day more and more of my ability to be able to bring these things into the world because I can see how my brain is working. So yeah, it's been really dope. And so also get into Raina, get into Raina. So I have refreshed Raina this week with a little bit of water and some more of the curl cream. And I'm kind of feeling it. We're feeling, but I also think I'm gonna need to cut it because remember I was telling y'all about this area up here last week and how I'm really trying to figure out what it's doing. So it did a little bit better with the curl cream. I think it needs less water, more curl cream is what it seems like it has been thriving most with. But anyway, when I don't know the last time I had my hair cut. I be cutting it sometimes, but like cut like with actual precision and things, child, who knows? Who knows what it looks like up in here? But I feel like it's time for me to go through and do a little trim on the ends because some of my ends don't really be curling like I be wanting them to. So I need to get them together. So the next time that I wash it is probably going to be a wash and trim type situation. And what I will say too is that I'm really just enjoying this journey with Raina and figuring out like how she just be rocking, you know, and how she can thrive in different conditions. You know what's interesting? She does very well here. When I was in Mexico City, it was so difficult for my hair because Mexico City is dry and there's pollution bad in Mexico City. Mexico City is twice the size of New York City. There are somewhere between 22 to 24 million people that live in that city. It's gigantic. And because of that, there's a lot of pollution. And pollution is hard on the hair and the skin. So, one of the reasons I love being here in Colombia is because it is more agreeable to what my skin, hair, nails, all of that need. So, I like that. You know, I like that. All right, let's do a quick subscriber update, y'all. So last week we had 1,403 subscribers on the page. Y'all, y'all, hold on. Let me get the update. Let me get the update. Hold on. As of today, September 3rd, we have 1,418 subscribers. Y'all, that's 15 people in a week that have come over here and been like, girl, I'm rocking with you, girl. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay. I am so here for this. I am so here for this. Our people are coming. Say hey in the comments. Introduce yourself. Put some sunflowers in. Share. Be like, what's up? We can talk to each other here, y'all. We can talk to each other. And speaking of talking to each other, matter of fact, let me find the comment that Gail left. Because I'm gonna tell y'all, this is how connections and things happen, is simply by being like, let me just go ahead and take a shot and see what happens. Yep, here it is. Your girl is good, man. I be having that's you know who I need to give credit for that too. I give credit to Christian. Christian is my memory brain person. And when I tell you Christian be top notch, top notch, be going and finding them memories and getting them on back. Okay? It's interesting. It is an interesting process, I tell you. But shout out to Christian. Okay, so this was the comment from the Joy Yoga 7481. In this episode, we were talking about they are preparing and planning, are we? And she said, thank you. I know I need to prepare and figure this out. I care for my elderly mother with health challenges. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm also aligned with you as a yoga, mindfulness, and meditation coach. And I said, I understand the challenge and am here to support however I can. I'm also curious to find out how you are using your platforms right now to support people. Again, I'd like to support however I can. So, Gail is on the latest episode of Gathered. Gail is a trauma informed yoga practitioner, but so much more than that. Like, she is very fluent in social emotional learning. She is an educator, she's a facilitator. She is a very, very interesting person. So, anyway, I had her on Gathered and we talked about trauma, we talked about yoga, we talked about the benefits of yoga and breathing and connecting back to our bodies. And it was a really, really great experience.
So we have an autonomic nervous system. One side is the parasympathetic, that's the rest and digest mode. And then the other side is what you hear about when we talk about being triggered, fight or flight, because our nervous systems begin to evolve. So it's the flight, it's the fight, it's the fawn, the freeze, where we just
Mm-hmm.
freeze up. I was reading Restorative Yoga for Ethnic and Race-Based Stress and Trauma by Dr. Gail Parker. She's both a psychologist and a yoga instructor. And she has entered into her work that as marginalized people, that we now have a new response called friend or befriend,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we can't do any of those other things. Her example was the situation that happened in that Starbucks where there were two African American gentlemen and they were waiting for a meeting. They hadn't ordered coffee and they got kicked out. The police came. They had to look for someone to friend and befriend, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
order to get them out of that situation. So we have both the sides, both of them are balanced, because the reason why our bodies react and all the blood goes to our muscles, perhaps when we're in a situation where we don't feel safe, that protected us. If we need to run, then I need all of the blood to go to my legs so that I can
Right.
run. They're both important and we should acknowledge that. But we do try to get ourselves into the more calm nervous system so that we aren't always producing that cortisol, which is increased high stress, which is not good for us.
If you are here on Saturday, it just premiered on Thursday. So go back and watch that episode of Gathered with Gail J. Hutchinson of the Joy Yoga and connect with her because she is absolutely phenomenal. I want to remind us again of our soul work, and I'm keeping the soul work consistent for a while because I really need us to figure out these things. Now, I might add an additional layer to it, but this is what we're going to keep on coming back to. What are the characteristics that you need to feel safe in sisterhood and or community? Last week we talked about partnership, right? So, what are those characteristics that you need to feel safe to be in community or relationship with other people, whether that is a romantic relationship, a sisterhood relationship, a business partnership, a friendship? What are those things that you need to have? All right, that is our standing soul work of the wild. All right. Let me take some OT before we get into the thing. it's still hot. It be hot. It be warm going down my body. I like it. But also I need to cool off just a little bit because I want to like sip it. All right. So today, um, I wrote down my notes in my journal here. And it's interesting because there are some days, this morning I woke up, and this happens a lot. Like I wake up in the morning and I my brain just be empty, which is weird for somebody who's always thinking, but it just be empty sometimes, and I don't really necessarily be having a real direction that I know that I'm supposed to do things. For example, I'll be much more specific in what I'm talking about. So this morning I woke up and I had already written down some stuff a few days ago about what I wanted to talk about today, but I really hadn't scripted out to run the show because I had so many other things that I had to check off my list, and I just hadn't had that meeting with my brain people yet. So this morning I woke up and I was like, I know I have to do the podcast, but like I really don't know what I want to talk about. Like I know that I have things to talk about, but I don't really know what I want to talk about. And that happens a lot sometimes. And then what happened was I, have my morning routine, my morning playlist that starts. So my playlist is going. Then I'm like, all right, let me get up and let me take my medicine and let me, get ready to start my day. And what I appreciate about getting myself to a place where I'm able to get to my medicine is that I know something is going to show up. I never know what it is, but I know that God is going to deposit something in my spirit. So this morning I, went through the steps to get myself to the place where God shows up, and um everything just kind of started flowing. So I went from having two lines that were written right here in this kind of like greenish color, and then this kind of like turquoise greenish color, and then there was like a page and a couple more pages of things that just kind of flowed out after that. And it's kind of cool because it's like a faith thing almost. I don't know. I know that God is going to guide me. So then it just be like, well, I'll just put myself where I'm supposed to be to get the directions. I don't know what the directions are, but I'm with it, whatever it is. It takes a lot of pressure off of you, honestly, to have to figure things out, to be honest with you. Um, because I don't, my brain be empty sometimes, or it wants to go do something else that's not relevant to what we're doing. So I said all that to say, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, I give them disclaimers, especially when people meet me for the first time or when people are having like face to face time with me. I often will say things like, hey, I need you to know that I am a prophet. And so I sometimes say things that I'm supposed to say, but I don't know why I'm saying them, nor do I remember that I'm saying them. But I urge you to like pay attention to what I'm saying, because whatever I'm saying, I'm very serious about in that moment. Um, and I give people that disclaimer sometimes because I am present, but also sometimes I'm not, because I'm very much like just being a conduit for whatever God is telling me to say. Some people call it channeling, some people call it I don't know what people call it. I honestly don't even know what people call it, but I'm gonna tell you what I call it. Is God be telling me to say stuff and I be saying it. Because there's been a long time in my life where I used to fight with God so bad about having to say things or do things or be the one to say something. And I used to be like, I'm not freaking saying that. And like, gotta be like, yes, you are. I told you to do this. And I'd be like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. And I would never win, but I would put up a fight. I'm going down swinging. You feel me? Um, and that also gets really exhausting. So the more that I learn about my spiritual gifts, the more that I allow myself to be used. And I know that about myself. What if the thing you've always called too much was the exact thing God designed on purpose? This is for the ones who've always known they were different. Too sensitive, too loud, too knowing, too intuitive, too woo woo. But what if your sensitivity is actually your superpower? What if your intuition was your inheritance? Discover Your Destiny is a 10-week sacred journey back to yourself. We explore the design of your soul, your spiritual gifts, and the unique way that God speaks to you. This isn't church. It's not a rule book. It's not a performance. It's the moment you stop chasing approval and start walking in divine alignment. You'll gain clarity, language, and confidence around who you are and what you are here on the earth to do. You'll learn the real voice of God. And if you feel called to go on to become a certified intuitive melanated life coach, this is where that path begins. There are two ways to enter this sacred container: the Destiny track, full investments and coaching experience, or the Divine Exchange track, where internship meets soul work. You'll support podcasting, content creation, or brand development behind the scenes while learning how your unique gifts benefit the collective. Your knowing isn't a flaw, it's the fingerprint of God. This is your invitation, and I hope that you'll answer. Somebody done got to this point in the video, they like, here we go, Sheeta woody whoop woo. And that's totally fine. Feel free to exit. Okay. But this is what I need y'all to know is that I do know my spiritual gifts, and I do know um how and when I am supposed to use them. So, for transparency's sake, I am a prophet. A prophet is a heart revealer, someone who reveals the heart of God, helps others to hear the voice of God, sometimes for the first time. Prophets are often charged with saying things that no one else is willing to say. We very much have a high sense of discernment and are often what they call in the church rightly dividing things. So very strong sense of morality and humanity, and really guiding people back towards who God actually is, not how God has been bastardized out here in these evangelical streets. So I know that about myself. And because I know that about myself, I make certain choices for how I show up for people, with people, in spaces and places, because I understand my assignment and I understand my calling. Earlier, I was talking with the Patreon about shifting to a different support person on my health team in regards to my mental health, because I want to make sure that I am aligned with someone who specializes in understanding the depth and the bigness of who God is, and the vastness of how God shows up, because a lot of the things that I balance in my life is about giving of myself and also putting myself in position to be able to feel, heal through feeling, but also transmute that, if you will, take that and turn that into a benefit, a story, a lesson for the collective. And that's what I do with a lot of the experiences that I have had. And I don't know when somebody somewhere I must have saw somebody holding something over somebody's head. And baby, when I tell you, I was like, ain't nobody gonna be able to tell my story better than me. Ain't nobody gonna be able to tell my story better than me. And in it actually started with my blog, I think. Um, and that blog, my first blog post was written, I think it was 2017 or 2018. Let me look and see. May 30th of 2018. And interesting. Okay. So I was going back to 2018 to figure out what was happening during that time. That feels like ages ago. That was only 7 years ago. Wow. That's crazy. So May 30th, 2018, what happened is I had read an article and it was talking about black mothers and their daughters and how many mothers are have this like jealous competition with their daughters and they spend their time and energy treating their daughters like trophies and manipulating their daughters and not being a supportive, guiding, nurturing spirit that is what mothers supposedly supposed to do. And so I had read that article, and when I tell you, I was like, this lady must have grew up at my house. Like, what is happening here? So I felt in my spirit that God was like, you need to write. And so, and I feel like I had started to maybe write like a note, and God was like, no, on the computer. So, like, I got my laptop and I just started like typing and I write this blog post. I didn't know it was a blog post at the time, but I just wrote it. So then God was like, this is a blog post and you need to publish this. And I was like, oh, I cannot do that. I was like, I cannot do that. They're going to think that I did this to be vindictive. They're going to think that I did this to get back at her because by this time, I had stopped speaking to my mother. I stopped speaking to my mother in 2017. So this was some months after that. And I didn't want people, family, whoever the hell people is, to say that I had done this because I was trying to get back at her. Because the post is about the relationship that I had with her and the way that she would harm me and abuse me. And so it was the first time I had ever really spoken publicly about all of that. And my mother is someone who thrives off of this image and down at the church and she has these amazingly smart children and this beautiful house and she's just got it all together. Like it was very much kind of those types of vibes. And this was the first time that I really had publicly been like, I'm tearing all this shit down. Like, that is not what the hell is going on here. So I didn't want people to like think I had done it maliciously, but it was really me finding my own voice. So I wrote the blog post and then God said to publish it. So I published it. And then God was like, and I'll tell people about it. And I was like, come on, man. Come on, man. How like, come on, man. Why I gotta do that, bro? Like I wrote it. So then I was like, and publish it. So I did. And the number of people that read it and one were kind of like, we had no idea. And I was like, I know, because I never talked about it. But also, thank you for sharing was like so overwhelming. And it really helped me to understand the power that I hold in sharing my story and sharing my lived experiences because my story is not unique. There are other people who have had these experiences and they've grown up thinking that they were the issue and it wasn't you. And so I felt really compelled to start talking. And I just embraced this platform of transparency. I was like, I'm going to talk about this stuff because a big issue in my family is family secrets. And that's why I'm on this mission to connect back to my ancestors. This is what me and the Patreon was talking about before we got started. But I'm on this mission to connect back with my ancestors and to also reintegrate the pieces of myself that I've left in all these places where trauma and harm have happened. And that is a it's a very interesting process, but it's a very necessary process. And my blog is the first place that started. It was the first place where I was like, I'm gonna tell my story, and can't nobody tell my story better than I can. And what I also knew is that my mother was painting herself to be a victim. And, I'm not there. I don't live there. I left home at 18 and I left home for real, for real. And 2005, and then I tried to go back for a while, but like by this time I'm the concept of this being home and me living here, like that's long gone. I when I left for college, my home then turned into Tampa, Florida. Like I'm not, no. So it was just a lot. It was a lot to kind of process, and it was a lot to take on. And in that process, I really started to unpack who I am and who I have always been, and the light that was seen in me that tried to be extinguished. And it's unfortunate that that happened at the place where I was supposed to receive protection. But I remind myself that I signed up for this life. So my responsibility then in that is to use this to help other people. And when I say I signed up for this life, I mean that I believe that my spirit selected my life, that my spirit was like, we're willing to go and do these hard things so that other people don't have to. So that is how I live my life and why I talk about the things that I do. So, in all of that, I spend a lot of time, definitely at this point in time, in solitude. And what I have grown to understand is that it is absolutely necessary because of the call that I have. So I want to kind of quantify for you all the things I be doing, right? Because I know people don't necessarily really know what I do, right? So I want to kind of be more transparent about that, if you will. So I am an intuitive melanated life coach, and I am currently um conducting a Discover Your Destiny journey right now, as well as certifying someone to become an intuitive melanated life coach. Both of those are very involved processes, and they require a lot of me and a lot from me, because I am the type of person where I am showing up fully and I'm fully invested in this journey that we are taking. I am literally walking with you on this journey. And that is a lot of energy that I absorb, a lot of lived experiences that I absorb. It's a lot of channeling, again, hearing, what God is saying and helping them to hear what God is saying, and then making connections and remembering. Remember, we talked about that, and see, now this is coming up here. And remember, we prayed about that, and now see, this is happening here. Like documenting and like really helping people to connect the dots. And that takes a lot of energy. I also have a mentee that I work with, and helping her to navigate life and figure out what that looks like in this season of her life, and providing support, and um, again, walking alongside and providing a space to be able to help her to see herself. So I also have that going on. I also coach about 35 teachers across the US. And that is interesting because it's a lot that's going on in the schools right now. And some of my teachers are starting to see the inequities and bringing up those inequities. And it's like, yeah, welcome to education. I had a conversation with a teacher the other day, and I was just in tears. I really, and I did all that I could to like keep it together, but the situation that she is in, the situation that she is in as a new teacher, the situation that these children are in, there's an administration that's turning over, and the administration hasn't put any systems in place at a school-wide level. The kids are bullying the teacher. Again, this is a new teacher, but she's got the most difficult and most challenging behaviors. Like, it's a lot happening in these schools. So I also take in that and process that. And Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. And because of that, I have to be intentional about creating the space for solitude for me to be able to restabilize myself. Somebody messaged me yesterday because on Tuesdays I don't talk. Tuesdays are no talk Tuesdays, and I don't talk on the phone at all. Like there's no verbal type communication. I might exchange text messages if it is something that I actually want to do or something that I feel compelled to do. But I don't work and I am just hanging out, like doing whatever my brain wants me to do. So they messaged me and they were like, I see why you don't talk on Tuesdays because it's some straight up foolery happen out here or something like that. And I started laughing because shit always pops off on Tuesdays. It's like people get Monday, like Monday, you expect to be Monday, like Mondays be Monday, right? But on Tuesday, the Monday residue be coming over into Tuesday. And now people feel like it's a crisis and all of this. And it's just a lot of shit that's happening on Tuesdays. So I decided I'm good on that day. If you have an emergency, you're going to need to contact me on Monday or Wednesday because Tuesday we are not open for business. And I'm grateful that I put that back into play because if I was allowing myself to be extracted from like that with no break, I would not be functional. And there are several of you all who are listening, who are watching, and you have not been functional because you are not honoring what you need for your own stability. And I want to be clear that functional is the bare minimum. I want to be clear. We should be able to operate in a space where we are more than functional, where we are able to thrive, right? But functional is the bare minimum. And what I know is just this week I got messages from two or three different people, and we were talking back and forth about different things. And I am, when I have space, very intentional of asking people how they are doing, like how their spirit is doing. Somebody told me that they don't think, like I don't think, I just don't. Somebody else told me that, I'm barely making it, just kind of smiling through. Somebody else told me they was just going through the motions. Somebody else told me that they are struggling to sleep. And well, actually, that's a pattern across several. Struggling to sleep and sleeping pills is a pattern across several. Um, just pretending that everything is okay. And it is so concerning to me because everything isn't okay. But there are things that we can do to help ourselves to be more okay. And because we haven't learned coping mechanisms and strategies and systems to be able to support ourselves that are healthy, that are helping us to be able to repair our relationship with ourselves and with our nervous systems, we go towards unhealthy coping mechanisms and then we are exacerbating the issue. Right. So if you are someone who drinks to cope or eating or um sex, whatever your coping mechanism is, it has to be one that includes intentional healing, right? And you don't want the coping mechanism to be causing additional harm. So there are people who are out here like very robotic or very much disconnected and detached from your body and from your spirit because it's a lot of shit that's going on, and I understand that. I really do. And I also submit to you that if you don't take care of yourself, that you are not going to have a self to be left here. So, what are the small things that we can be doing to allow ourselves to start to heal. And one of my mottos, I don't know if I feel like I said this last week, but one of my mottos is every step in the right direction is a step in the right direction, no matter how small. If all you can do is take 3 deep breaths a day, that is more than you were doing before. And those 3 deep breaths might then lead to 5 deep breaths. And those 5 deep breaths might lead to a minute of deep breaths. And that minute of deep breaths might eventually lead to 2 minutes of deep breaths. And then maybe 5 minutes of deep breaths. And then it becomes a meditative type of practice. And then we are able to allow ourselves to start to feel. Remember, we talked about being emotionally constipated. There are many of us who are shells of a body because we are suppressing and denying our feelings. When what we are designed to do is allow those feelings to flow through us so that we are able to stabilize ourselves to heal. But we have been conditioned to believe that, one, if I start, I can't stop, which is valid when there is, for instance, depression or a chemical imbalance that is causing us to stay in a state. So if I can't allow myself to feel, can I at least allow myself to breathe? And then what is that active work that I am doing towards allowing myself to be able to feel? But not just saying, I'm going to numb myself and I'm just not going to deal with any of it. It's not effective and it leads to burnout and it leads to breakdown. And I'm telling you this because I know this, because I experienced this. This is what I have been recovering from. And it is not fun for your brain to stop working. It is not a good experience at all, not even a little bit. And I know that many of you are able to empathize with that or you have experienced that. So I'm often thinking of how I can help people to heal through the feeling and give yourself a moment to be able to process. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, they're parents, and they may be a single parent or, a parent that is holding a lot. And what I tell them is that you like this, it's almost the same thing that we say in schools too. Like, you cannot do this whole practice what I'm sorry, do what I say, not what I do type of thing. That does not work. What it does is it creates a level of distrust in you as the adult because you are saying one thing and doing something else. Kids are very perceptive, and kids are forming their perception of the world every single day. So when you're lying in essence, when you're not practicing what you're preaching, when you are sitting there lying to your child every day about feelings, about how you're doing, about how they are feeling, you're suppressing their feelings. That's what you're teaching them, is that they don't have the right and ability to be able to feel. And you are modeling that because you also are walking around as a shell of a person, thinking that you're putting on this good front, and it's not working. It's not working. Anybody who has the ability to see can see. And children, they have not yet been tainted by the world. They see that. So you're not doing them a favor by lying. Now, does that mean that you dump all of your adult issues on them? No. But is it okay for you to say, I'm not feeling my best today? We look at the feelings wheel, and, today I actually was feeling a little bit sad. But what was making you sad? Well, being an adult, we have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes I want to make sure that I am showing up for you, and I feel like I may not have been doing a good job of that lately. So that made me a little sad. Or maybe it's that you're sad that you're missing someone. Maybe there's grief that's involved. It's okay to say that. And also not make it your children's responsibility to feel like they have to make you feel better. It's okay. Sometimes we are sad. Sometimes we are sad. And I'm grateful that I have this particular method. When I'm sad, I usually go and blow bubbles, and that helps to make me feel better because it helps me to breathe, which is something that I notice I don't do. Or to tell your child that you're feeling frustrated. We want to teach them how to be aware of, how to name, how to process their feelings, but that also comes through our ability to feel. And being someone who is a heart revealer and someone who has constant connection with God, it's a lot to feel about out here in this world. It's a lot to feel about. So it is a superpower, if you will, to be able to feel. And it is also necessary for us to be healthy emotional beings and to have healthy relationships with others. So, when I think about our soul work, for instance, of what types of characteristics and qualities do we need in community and relationship and partnership and friendship, the ability to be able to feel and be vulnerable, because that's where we heal. When we allow ourselves to be able to truly process. So, I said all that to say what I know about myself is that I am a very empathetic person, and I really be feeling. And I really take the time to be present with people. And because of that, that is also draining. And draining is not being used in a negative sense, it is being used in a literal sense. Like if there were a battery and the battery is being used, that the battery is going to get drained. It's just a fact of how that works. One of my people said the other day they feel like they need to go plug their tail into the tree like in Avatar. Now I have a confession. I saw Avatar. That's a lie. How do I want to say this? I went to the theater and paid for a ticket to see Avatar, and also I went to sleep. Because this is my confession. I struggle with fantasy movies. I struggle really bad. Like, they make me angry inside. And I don't know why this is. So, for example, the never ending story is, it makes me angry. I don't know why. I hate that stupid dog, flying dog, dragon thing. I don't know what his name is. I don't know what his purpose is. I don't know. I just know I don't like it. It gives me the heebie jeebies. Things like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Lord of the Rings, Avatar. What are we talking about here? I don't understand. It's really hard for me, but I don't struggle with cartoons. So I don't know. I want to do a deep analysis because what I be hearing and finding out after the fact is that these movies, even like Star Wars and Star Trek, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I kind of with Marvel felt okay with it because one, they were funny, and then at times there were like realities of it. I don't know, but it's hard for me. Okay, I just wanted to say that. But anyway, when my person said like plugging the tail into the tree, it like resonated with me. I was like, I can see that. And that's what it feels like needs to happen is once I put out this all of this energy, I need to go plug in so that I can recharge. And that is what a lot of us need to do, and often that comes in solitude. And I realize for those who live with other people that may be very difficult. But again, I also feel like this is something that as a family, as a parent and child, like this is something you need to talk about. Sometimes we need to be in solitude to be able to recharge our batteries. So the way that I recharge my battery is by sipping tea, by painting, by blowing bubbles. How do you like to recharge your battery? By reading a book, by coloring, by, I don't know, doing a puzzle, right? Teaching your children mechanisms and methods to be able to support themselves so that you also have time to support yourself is essential, because otherwise your battery is constantly being drained and you're not plugging back up to the tree. So for myself, I realized Tuesdays are that day, as well as Friday evenings, Saturday evenings, and in the mornings for me, because I don't start working until 11. So having that time in the morning to not have to talk, not have to interact, not have to show up, it is priceless because I need that time to be able to recharge. And I think it also comes down to intentionality and how you are giving out your energy as well, right? So I mentioned the conversations that I've been having with people earlier. And one of those, well, again, it's a pattern. This is a pattern. Basically, people have come to me and been like, look, I'm broken. I'm in pieces and I don't really have much to give. And also, I want you to help me and be here for me and pour into me and show up for me. And I thought that was interesting, especially because it's a pattern that I'm like, why are these people like coming to me? And who also is going to be restoring me? And I have to make conscious decisions like about how I'm going to allocate my energy, right? So I told y'all I have a mentee, I have two people that I'm taking through journeys, I've got like 35 teachers that I coach. Like people be draining my battery. People really be draining my battery. And also I am open to that energy exchange as long as it is something that is mutually beneficial. I also understand that I am a healer. One of my affirmations that I listen to every morning is a throat chakra affirmation, and is by Londrell. I believe I've talked about him before. But basically, it's like use your words to create peace, use your words to affect change, use your words to manifest, to call things forth. Like, I'm big on that. I'm big on that. And so, because of that, people are drawn to me because of the light, because of the energy, because of the gift, because I am a healer. So that also means that I have to be intentional about finding ways to heal myself, or having people around me that also help me to heal. I cannot have people around me that are only extracting without intentionally allowing that extraction to happen, but also having a way to be able to refill what is being extracted. And what is happening with a lot of us is that we're being extracted from, and we are not intentionally refueling. So you're always exhausted. You are always in a space of feeling like somebody's taking from you and you just never have time for yourself. You don't get to think about yourself. So what do? You detach in your brain. And now you're doing a disservice to everybody that's around you because you're no longer even available for a mutually beneficial energy exchange because you've cut that part of yourself off because basically you don't have good boundaries. Don't don't. So, a part of our responsibility with our boundaries is making sure that we are honoring our energy. Another song that I have during my morning playlist is Energy Budget by Tony Jones. Honoring your energy. Another one I have, what it's called? I think it's called Clarity. And she's like, I don't have a responsibility to heal nobody, to show up for nobody but myself. I can't change nobody but myself. I am the only one that I'm responsible for. Right? Like, and I know that might feel like oxymoronic, if you will, but I have to make sure that I'm taking care of me so that I am able to flow in the spaces in the ways that I am called to support other people. But even in that support, it is still not my job to fix them. It is not my job to do the hard work. People have to want to be able to show up differently. And so for me, that looks like me deciding whether this person is actually ready to show up differently. Because if they are not, then now I am exchanging energy with them with absolutely no return on the investment. And I'm not doing that. That is a brick wall, right? So I need people around me who are speaking life, people who are able to also give of themselves and have a vulnerable exchange. Um, People who practice what they preach, because I'm a practice what I preach. I'm a practice what I preach. And I need to know that when somebody else says something that that's what they mean. Words mean things. We had an episode called that one time. Words mean things. Okay. So that's what's been on my mind lately. And a lot of these thoughts come to me when I'm in the shower. That is my time of solitude. Well, I always have solitude, but that's my real intentional time of solitude where I be hanging out with God. And I'm curious about where y'all be hanging out with God. Do you hang out with God in the shower? Do you hang out with God? Like, do you have a special corner or a special area on the porch or where you be in the car? Sometimes people be hanging out with God. Where you be hanging out with God at? Because we be hanging out in the shower. And he be doing this big one. He, she, they, God, hey, be doing the big one in that shower. All right. So I also encourage you, if you don't have a place where you commune and connect with God, that you start to explore where that place might be. Where can you position yourself to be able to hear what God has to say and wants to say to you and through you? And where can you start putting your infrastructure in place to be able to start reintegrating the parts of yourself and coming back to yourself? That's something somebody else told me this week. They said, I'm trying to go find myself. And I said, okay, well, I understand. Good luck on your journey to restoring yourself. But on that journey, as you are restoring yourself, how are you bringing God into that? Because God is the one who has the answers and the pieces of what this looks like and sounds like. So, how are you creating space for God in all of that? Y'all got that? Cool. So, I don't think I have anything else for us today. This today was kind of like a brain dump type situation, but also very much intentional in the things that needed to be said. A reminder that our soul work is what characteristics do you need to feel safe in sisterhood, community, partnership, relationship with others. I want to remind you that I'm planning for the Sisterhood Heals book study. So if you want to register for Sisterhood Heals, the book study, we're building it out. So I'll let you know about dates and all that kind of stuff already, but go ahead and start getting the book. I recommend the audio book, but I'll also put a link to the book through my Amazon link. So I'll also put that in there, but go ahead and start getting that and preparing for that journey. So you can register for that at tinyurl.com/sisterhood heals. I also want to remind you that next week we are going to have the healing circle after the frolicking truth. So keep in mind the healing circle, we are partnering with Vanessa at the Well Educators. So we're going to have a yoga component as well as journaling and affirmations. So this is a space where you're able to come once a month. It's going to be the second Saturday of each month. So you'll be able to come once a month and really have a space to start thinking about some of those practices that I was talking about, some of those small steps that you can put into place to help you to start reconnecting to your body, to start creating space for your emotions. So that's what we're going to be doing in the healing circle. So again, go ahead and register for that. tinyurl.com/black women healing circle. If you are looking to leave the US and you are trying to get your shit in order, please go to findingpeaceabroad.com and get onto my calendar, and I can help you with that process and strategizing for what that looks like and sounds like. Feel free to share that information with anyone that you may be talking to who is also trying to figure out how they can get out. Please share that as you will and as you must. All right. Lastly, let's talk about Patreon right quick. So, the inner circle, I am planning to start some classes in there, classes, unofficial classes, kind of like crash course type things and video series, and really thinking about again some of the behind the scenes stuff that's happening. I did get a vlog camera, so I am going to be vlogging more often, but those vlogs will live where? In Patreon. The vlogs that are being released publicly on YouTube are from a year ago, so feel free to catch up on the journey. But the right now, what is happening in real time information happens in Patreon. You can join the inner circle for $5 a month, and you get access to everything that is in there. And also, there's a 7-day free trial or you can come in, click around, see all the things that have been in there thus far, and really kind of come into that community. So, inviting you all there if you are looking for deeper connection. Again, I want to remind you of my blog over on my website at kimberlynjackson.com. I don't know why I keep doing that blog ding, ding, ding. I don't know what that's about. But I want to remind you all about my blog on my website, kimberlynjackson.com, free to be me blog. There you can read about some of the things that I was talking about here, as well as some of my other life experiences that I have shared. Again, I believe can't nobody tell your story better than you. All right. So I'll be telling my story. And I thank you for creating space for my story and my lived experiences to be a part of your world. So, our closing quote for today is by Bell Hooks from Sisters of the Yam. Our bodies are the place where we must begin the work of healing. We must learn to listen to the voices of our bodies, to let them guide us back to wholeness. When we are cut off from our bodies, we are cut off from our deepest selves. So I invite you all on the journey with me to reconnect to ourselves, to reconnect to our feelings, to reconnect to solitude, to the core of who God created us to be. And we're going to do this together. So strap in and find yourself a community of people that are on this same journey. That's what we're doing here at the Frolicking Truth. We are embracing the truth and we are walking together as we strive to show up as better humans out here in this world. So that is all for this week. I will see you all next week. And go watch Gathered. Go watch the last episode of Gathered with Gail Hutchinson of the Joy Yoga, and leave some sunflowers in the comments and connect with her on all her spaces. All right? All right, y'all. That's it. That's all. I'll see y'all next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to The Frolicking Truth, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. Please be sure to like, rate, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, and follow me on all social platforms. Until next time, bye.